One-foot-flipper.
Hi, Paige here, the 1-foot-flipper. It's morning. I just woke up in the supply shed, sponsored by SupplyShed.com. Was woken up by the reseller fairy who showered me with Rollo printers and then gave me a hearty breakfast of American Boy bubble wrap. Links below. And I woke up, got dressed out of my Mercari closet, and then started out on my Poshmark orders. Actually, I don't Crosslist. I don't have any sponsors. I don't use the reseller genie. I don't use the eBay phone app. I put everything in on the website. I barely promote my listings. You don't need to do any of that extra stuff. You can if you want to. You can pay for line-by-line extra accounting done in a way that you don't need to do in order to do your reseller taxes, if that's what you want. You can pay to put your items on 17 other platforms that have much fewer eyes, if you want to. And you might actually want to if you're selling clothes. But you don't have to. I don't do that because I don't want to split my expertise. I don't want to waste any time on lesser platforms or learning to master them or anything else when I'm already good at something, and I'd rather just keep getting better at what I'm good at, which is eBay. Just recently filled the entire van up with model trains. Tons of model trains. Check out that gondola. Some of the stuff is, a lot of the stuff is new in box. Some of it is used. Over huge crate of cases here. Here's a big box of scenery. Overall, I got 29 large boxes worth of this stuff. I wish it would have come in the fall because this, I feel model trains are more fall merchandise, but I'm going to be listing it anyway. I got three different giant sets. This is almost all Bachmann big hauler stuff. So I'm going to be real busy with that in the next few weeks, and also finding a place to put it all too, because of course whenever I keep trying to make space, but I keep not being able to make any space because this stuff just keeps falling out of the sky. I didn't go look for this. This stuff came to me. I mean, I did have to pick it up, but I got a phone call and I had to come get it. So I got it. Sales this week have been incredibly slow, but guess what? I don't care. eBay is not a sprint. It's a marathon. My sales any particular day do not matter. It's my sales for the month, the quarter, or the year that matters. Really, it's only the year. The rest doesn't matter. I could sell nothing for the next 3 weeks, and I think it was exceptionally weird if I did, but other than that, it wouldn't matter. It wouldn't hit my finances because it's all going to even out in the end. It doesn't mean that I'm jacking my promoted listings up high or anything like that. In fact, I haven't talked much about promoted listings, I don't think, so let's talk about it. The importance of promoted listings is going to vary wildly based upon what you sell. If you sell something with a very if you're selling an item with a very specific name that is easy to search for and easy to, that means it's also easy for all of your customers to comparison shop. This thing, Rigiduo 9000, this item has one name. Maybe you got two different ways to spell it. You don't need to promote this item because this item is going to go to a specialty customer. Nobody's going to buy this on accident. They're not going to buy this because they are just browsing a category. This thing's like $100. They're not buying it because they saw it. They're probably looking for it very specifically, and they're going to buy the cheapest one that meets their satisfaction as to condition. I'm not actually sure if that one is new or used. I haven't opened it up yet, but that promoted listing isn't going to matter on that item whatsoever. Any promoted listings on that item are thrown away. However, if I was selling this Snoopy shirt, I'd want to promote the Snoopy shirt high, like 10%. Because go search Snoopy shirts. See how many of them there are. Exactly. There's a million of them. And even sorting, and when you've got something like that, sorting by price doesn't help. Because, oh, yep, there's a million Snoopy shirts. Okay, now there's a million $6 Snoopy shirts. And that'll probably be loaded with mostly junk, but they'll never even get up to where yours are. So promoted listings for clothes is a big deal. And promoted listings can also help sell items that, like glass, antiques with weird names that don't have specific names. In general, the harder to search the item and the less of a specific name it has, the more important promoted listings become. And also, promoted listings are great on items that, you know, might be impulse buys. I'm trying to find an example of something that might be an impulse buy. Of course, I can't find any impulse buys because I'm talking about it. Oh, impulse buys. Cheap cards. I don't promote my good cards, but I promote all my cheap cards. If it's $1.99, then I've also got it. I've got that as a promoted listing. But because people will buy those as, you know, without really thinking about it. And honestly, when you're using promoted listings in general, you are looking for the customers who don't think about things. You're looking for you're targeting the customers who buy whatever is put in front of them without researching, particularly if you're trying to promote things that have exact names to them. Like this right here, this Sound and Power 7000 train controller. This looks used. This has an exact name. Why would I promote this? Somebody who buys this, they know that they want a Sound and Power 7000, or either way, they know all about train controllers, probably, and they're going to pick the best price, and it might be the best price across several different similar items. That's why I always say that you should mark your items down over time, because you might have the best price on eBay, but it might not for that item, but you might not have the best price in the space. Something else might be soaking up those sales instead, because could be better. Also, something I saw earlier today on somebody with a really big channel, and since my video is going to come out this same day, somebody with a very large channel and following went over something and was completely wrong about it. They went over explaining why electronics final value fees on eBay are 15% and clothing final value fees on eBay are 15% because of the return rates, but that's not true at all. The clothing and electronics don't have 15% final value fees on eBay. In fact, the only things that actually have higher than standard final value fees on eBay are books, music, some jewelry, and watches. Clothing and electronics are that same 12 point whatever percent, and some individual things are actually lower than that, like electric guitars are cheaper, and some clothing subcategories are actually cheaper. But yeah, that rate isn't 15% at all. What you saw today, or just it isn't true. All right. It's been an okay week so far. Sales are doing okay, and my YouTube channel finally started to pick up steam again. I rocketed to 3,000 viewers really quick, and then it just went very slow and steady, and now I've picked up steam again in the last week. Some of my new videos are getting some views, so thank you for doing that. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing, hitting the bell for the notifications, and all those things I don't normally talk about. What I do normally talk about is some sales, and good things and bad things about them, and mistakes. Here's a mistake sale. A lot of 200 Magic the Gathering foil cards. When I decided I was no longer going to list cards worth less than $2, I Still had a bunch of uninventoried stuff. I scanned all 200 of these in the scanning program, and it added up to being over $50 retail value, and I finally sold this after multiple markdowns. $17.70 was not worth the effort taken to scan the cards. I could have thrown them directly into the trash. That would have been more valuable than what I did. And I also haven't canceled my pay scanning program either. I need to cancel that. I don't use it anymore. I'm done with that. And at least those cards are out of my life. 200 more gone. Sold this Madame Alexander 8-inch Little Frog Princess Wendy in the box for $32.80. She was sold via promoted listings. I'll promote dolls a little bit because people do browse for dolls. I got her in a giant tub of dolls, almost all Madame Alexander, that I bought for $50 about a year ago, and that tub has gotten me over $1,000 in sales. It's almost all gone now. There's probably only 2 or 3 of them left. I'll pop a better picture up on the screen since this is in a box. So these Warhammer figures, Sisters of Battle, squad of some figures. Here's what they look like. Oh, aren't they cool? $36.44. Those were also promoted listings. I've got promoted listings on my Warhammer stuff just slightly because people do browse for that stuff. It's at the 2 to 3% level though, not at the 10% level. Speaking of mistakes, one thing you can do as a reseller, what you should learn is don't hold on to stuff just because it seems good, or it might be good if you get something else to go with it if it's outside of your area. Like, I've got these old magazines here. 1932 National Geographic. Couple of Newsweeks from the 50s. Saturday Evening Post, about 50 years old. The thing is, none of those are worth anything on their own. You have to have a large quantity of those for it to be worth anything. And I'm not a magazine seller. I need to get rid of those immediately, donate them, throw them away, use them for packing material, whatever, because I'm never going to match those up with other ones. And if I saved everything like that, hoping to match it up with other things, my whole warehouse area would be filled up with that sort of stuff. And note, those came in lots, or otherwise I didn't purchase these on their own. I sold this factory Magic the Gathering Strixhaven set for $219.99. It's one of the only things in either one of my stores that I had free shipping on. And the reason specifically being is because I only had 2 competitors for that item. Both the competitors also had free shipping, and that I absolutely knew I would not be marking down the price on that item or sending any offers out on that item, because those things price like commodities. All I had to do to sell that was to put it $1 cheaper than the other one, and within a couple of weeks it sold. I didn't need to send any offers, I didn't need to promote listings or anything else, and that's the only reason I had free shipping on it. Alright, right after I came down the stairs, I sold this Yes 4 cassette tape box set. Really wish I would have been down here. It looks really cool. Sold it for $11.99. I'm going to ship it tonight, so it can't wait for tomorrow's filming. I sold this Schleich Castle, just a little bit too cheap. I let the person beat me down under messages from 21 to 16, which probably cut my profit on that item in half because it came from the Goodwill bins. It weighs over 3 pounds, so I've probably got $6 in it. And after eBay fees, taking that $5 off cut my profit in half. Shouldn't have done it, and I'm not going to do it on the other tower. Although USPS has changed a lot of their shipping prices lately, so maybe I'll make a little bit back on the shipping on that if they're in a close zone. I sold this Topps baseball card collector kit from 2012 for $7.19. I think they're mostly buying it for that sealed pack in there. That sealed pack can have autographed cards of value in it. And I'm sure there were some good rookies that year, something that somebody's going to want. I can't imagine they're actually wanting the binder or the patch. I sold this Shiv. Well, it's actually a crescent handle folding screwdriver. Sold this for $62.99. Jamestown tool. This was a small promoted listing because this is the sort of thing people browse for. I think things like this usually are going to go to a collector. I don't think a lot of people are buying $60 screwdrivers to actually use them in their shop every day. Maybe they are, I don't know. But either way, $62.99. It's one area that if you don't have a specialty that you can get knowledgeable in is vintage tools. I mostly walk past them because I don't know them, but there's a lot of money there and a lot of other people walk past them. So if you don't know what to specialize in, maybe there's an area you can start. I sold this thing of board game parts. This is a Red Alert Space Fleet Warfare cards and counters in cases. I got this about a year and a half, almost, well, close to 2 years ago now, when I bought an entire estate, and the guy had the Red Alert Fleet Warfare game, which is a super complicated space game with figures and all sorts of things in every expansion, but he had the thing split up all over the collection. He had customized it. Everything was its own little boxes and packages, and it was all over his collection. And I found the stuff months and months apart, so I ended up selling all this stuff off in pieces, and somehow it all still sold. I think this is the last piece of his Red Alert set that I had, and I got $20 for it. And lastly, I sold a book, Peanuts, Art of Charles Schulz, $3.99. Normally I don't even buy books. This book was free, and it looked like it might be sellable, so I grabbed it. All right, let's go back to the main video. Sometimes when you're making an eBay lot, less is actually more, or it's sometimes just to your advantage to take things out of what would have otherwise been a lot. Like right here, I have 17 vintage cross-stitch magazines, but 15 of them are digest size and 2 of them are magazine sized. And when I weighed them, it would have been just over 2 pounds to ship with the magazine size ones that would also have caused it to be much more awkward to ship. So instead, I'm just gonna say goodbye to the magazine sized ones. Now, if I was a magazine specialist, I would have saved those magazines, but they have almost no value to their own. Honestly, me throwing those away or using them as packing material just makes the rest of them out there in the world a little bit more valuable. And I'm just going to sell the 15 digest size ones together and not worried about the 2 magazine sized ones that would have just made the whole thing worse. Okay, I've got a few more sales. I sold this China Gate arcade marquee. That was the thing that went up on the top of the arcade game back in the old days. This sold for $40.49. I got this off of a China Gate machine that I purchased and then turned back into the original game that it used to be. And I still had it sitting around, and now I don't. I sold this little Sorcerer on Flying Disc miniature, $35.99. I would have only had about 50 cents in this guy, because that's about what I end up paying per miniature when I do huge miniatures buys, though I haven't had one for a while. If you want to get rid of that stuff, please let me know. Neil Young cassette trans, $2.69. Not big money, but I charge up on my media mail shipping. It's like $5.49 because I like to account for that record box for the records. So I do make money on the shipping on cassettes, so they're not so bad. Sold a piece of sheet music because 1902. These are the most annoying thing in the world to pack. If I don't have an empty record, if I don't have a mismatched record sleeve to pack them in, I often end up wasting a record box on them, unless I've got big cardboard laying around. But in any case, the key is to do it fast. Now, these come in Wii games. These will sell instantly if you list them at the right price. Both of these launched for my drafts today and sold within an hour. Mario Kart for the Wii sold for $19.99, loose disc. And Wii Sports Resorts sold for $23.99, loose disc. I had said previously on my channel, I thought I was done with all the Command & Conquer Red Alert stuff, but nope. This cloth playing surface playmat sold today for $12.59. So maybe now I'm done with all of it. Probably not. Same customer in 2 transactions purchased this White Dwarf magazine. These used to be worthless, and I threw a bunch away about 6-7 years ago, and they've apparently gained value since then, and I wish I wouldn't have done that. He bought this magazine and 2 Skaven miniatures. Skaven are like Ratmen, fantasy Ratmen, and he paid a total of $32 plus shipping for those items. Took a $15 offer on this Wargaming sprue. Remember, the Wargaming sprues were things that I nearly threw away. And finally for this, the best of Uriah Heep, $1.79. I listed this at $1.99, and it got a 10% off offer, and they bought it. Just like the cassettes, I do make money on the media mail shipping on things that aren't records, because my media mail is priced around records. All right, let's get back to the rest of it. Another thing to think about with promoted listings now is that they're sticky. I don't mean sticky like they're all gooey, like there's leftover tape on this thing. What I mean is, before, when you sold something that was promoted, you only got to charge the promoted listing fee if they clicked on the promoted listing for that item. It doesn't work that way anymore now. Now it's sticky. If my customer clicks on the promoted listing for this item here, and then a week later they go in and they find this via normal methods and buy it, but this also was an item I had promoted, they're going to get charged the promoted listing fee. That's going to massively increase the number of promoted listing fees that you're going to pay, particularly if you are a specialist person selling to frequent flyers or whale customers or whatever who constantly buy from the category. Because at some point, that big customer is going to, even by accident, click on the promoted listing for this. And now, for the next 30 days, everything else he buys from you is going to have that promoted listing fee on it if it's a promoted item. That alone is making me rethink even having small promoted listing percentages outside of clothes. I don't think my clothes buyers are cross-buying anything else. Also, I want to give a shout out to Special E Freedom. He's another YouTube channel. He's been reviewing people's reselling channels, and he recently reviewed my channel. I was nicely surprised at some of the things he said, and one of which I really agreed with is that I'm not as funny or entertaining as I could be. Part of which is I don't get out to a lot of sales. You don't see me buying stuff a lot. And that is difficult for me. And I think sometimes I'm not as funny as I could be, because sometimes I'm making videos when I really shouldn't be, and I'm trying to change that. I'm trying to only film when I want to. Forget about the eBay, the YouTube algorithm. Don't worry about it. I don't necessarily need to get a video out every 3 days. I need to film video when I feel like filming video, not any other time. And okay, I guess that'll be the end here. Thanks for coming. Hope to see you again soon.